welcome to Big Thoughts, Small Business, the show that brings you the perfect blend of business growth and work-life harmony. Are you a driven business owner looking to take your venture to new heights while still enjoying a fulfilling personal life? Look no further. Today, we have Libby Kavoulakis from Pivot Transformational Business Coaching, ready to join us and talk about our topic. Hi, Libby. How are you doing today?
Hi, Aisha. Great to be back.
Yes, it's a great way to start your week on our podcast. So today we're talking about small business as usual, but we're going to take you back to your origin. We want you to think back when you started your business. And today's question that's going to kick off the show is your business then and now. What made you start your business? So I'd like to start with Libby because mine, multifaceted, and maybe I'll get some tips on how to sync it up and make it make sense for you guys. But Libby, kick it off for us.
Okay. So my current business is Pivot Transformational Business Coaching, and I'm a business coach. And I started it because of the pandemic. I was home alone and I was thinking some of the lessons I've been listening to and some of the other podcasts and free courses I was taking online all had to do with coaching and the coaches I worked with. So I always had that skill and I always had that focus in my consulting work, but I decided to go ahead and get my coaching certification and really focus on helping small business owners and entrepreneurs clarify what they want to do with their business and keep work-life balance. So I redeployed the skills I already had is why I started it. And I knew I'd be good at it because I was doing it already, but it was just something I had always enjoyed. I'm going to step back on memory lane for a second. I had another business, the Metis Group, for 25 years. And that was a consulting firm. And we worked predominantly with federal government and state and local government, public sector clients. I started that because I was so sick and tired of working for other people and killing myself and just working incredible hours and always just getting the grief, but none of the glory, let's say. And I started that because I thought I could do consulting better. It's a crowded field, but I had a passion and I really wanted to bring experts together to provide the services, not have it leveraged downward. So you had a bunch of smart people who all got together to provide high-end consulting services. So that was a different focus or a different reason why I started. I thought I could change the market a little bit and find a niche that I saw was not represented well in that market area.
I like that because I feel that's where a lot of small businesses find themselves. They find themselves facing a problem that either frustrates them or isn't exactly suited to what they're looking for in the market. I love watching Shark Tank, and Shark Tank always has those really great origin stories where it's like really simple fixes for problems that we all face, and maybe we go out, I'll just find a product and I'll find a service that kind of fits what I need. But it takes an entrepreneurial mind to go, I can do that. I know the pain points. I'm coming in and I'm going to solve that. When I got started, I was coming fresh out of training. And the training that I went through was the Brownfield certification training through CivicWorks, one of their sister programs, Energy Retrofit, in their Brownfield certification course. So what they did was they found people that were looking for jobs in the community because a lot of the environmental contracts in the region were just short on workforce. So I went through a workforce development training program, and all the trainings and all the certifications were just so fresh on my mind. And it was transition for me because I'm coming fresh out of training. I get placed at a job where they need workers, and, we're all excited because we know what we're going to expect. We know what, we have to encounter. And then we're paired up essentially with, people who are our senior, of course, and who had many years of experience in the same field, but they were experiencing a term called a grandfathered in. So, they were around before a lot of these regulations were even regulations. So coming fresh out of training, I'm like, okay, we're going to get a Tyvek, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they're just reaching and stuff and grabbing things. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? So in my head, it was like, what? And it was I'm not trying to, air anybody's dirty laundry, but coming into the environmental field, it was definitely, just like a sensory overload because you have the training on your mind, you have the rules and regulations of what to do and not to do, the PPE, all the stuff that governs a safe site, an effective site. And then you're coming into a business that, has market share in the region or, is just a big player. And, on their field services side, you're like, why is it like this? And me and my husband, we were often on job sites like, we could do this better. We could be a little more efficient. Oh yeah, if we tighten up this and, have less drivers and maybe more workers or, we were just constantly considering how to effectively do it better. And that's where a lot of small businesses kind of come from. They either come from the field where they know the service ins and outs, or they come from maybe a related field where they know the business side of it. So, Libby, which one would you say? Did you kind of come into your business with more business acumen than hands-on experience, or would you say you had more hands-on experience solving your problem than the business acumen?
I think for both of them, for both the consulting firm.
Yes.
I mean, I think I'm kind of a rare person. I had both. At that point, when I started the Metis Group, I had already had 10 or 12 years as a consultant. And I had already known the federal space, and I already knew the technical aspects of government contracting, plus my specialty area, which was commercial real estate. So I had all that lined up already. For Pivot, for my coaching, because I was a management consulting, I actually was coaching many of my clients.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of that blend again, that it was more just what I wanted to do and what I felt very happy doing. So it's not that I had either. I had kind of had both again. Amazing. But I think that's rare. I think that's not something that a lot of people go into. I think it's more of your question, which one is it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. That is a space where a lot of entrepreneurs would really like to be, because when we started our company, it was, we knew the services, we knew, the need, we knew how to best, affect that change. But like on a macro scale, it was, okay, how do we track down those clients outside of the ones that we already have? How do we kind of build upon it? And I feel a lot of small businesses, that are accused of building the plane as they're flying it, kind of come from that background of, well, I did the service, I know the work, but, how do we, do the capture management? How do we know when to invest in, ad placements and things like that? So I know I kind of jumped off script, but moving on to the next question, how would you say your business has evolved? You can even start with the Metis Group. I know it led into Pivot, but tell us how your business evolved.
It's interesting. I started as a real estate advisory firm under the Metis Group because that was my background. I had the designations. I had all the experience worldwide in commercial real estate. So it started as providing commercial real estate services to the public sector. But then what I realized in providing those services, we also had to deal with outreach and promotion of the programs that we were working with, because I saw that was something that was very much lacking. So my firm actually introduced new ways to get more private sector companies involved in being interested in government real estate as a buyer, as a developer, as a lessee, whatever it may have been, as a partner. And then from there, I also realized that part of the reason that the real estate wasn't functioning was because the processes weren't in place, or the procedures, or there wasn't consistency in execution. So we brought in the management consulting arm to basically wrap all the services. Now, each of the three arms or divisions operated independently, but also came together on projects. Where I could bring all three to the table was a home run. But on some projects, it was just real estate. On others, it was just marketing and licensing. Others, it was just management consulting. So they were there to tap into if we needed the expertise. But if not, we had just the singular expertise to bring to the table.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it sounds like as a business coach, you're already kind of paying attention to all those levers that drive successful businesses. So you're always looking at kind of the entire picture. So evolution for you is more scale in some sense. You're just trying to get your client base to realize, the opportunities they have with the resources they have, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. And that would be a great segue into why small businesses need, that outside kind of aspect of coaching and understanding, where they're at in their market. And, that leads us kind of into the next question, but I feel like you have a really great answer for this as well. If you had to do it all again, what would you have done differently as a business coach? I feel like you kind of know where you were going. So there wasn't, I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but I'll let you answer the question.
Oh, no. I mean, you know me very well. I mean, that's a good thing about us knowing each other so well and
This is
having
more of a question for me.
worked together and been around each other for so long. We know. Well, let me tell you, it's quite interesting with Pivot, with my coaching business. Um, I'm kind of in that doing it differently stage right now, including this podcast.
Yeah.
This was a big step forward to get more visibility and get more reach. I was, you know what I was doing? I was playing small. And that makes me insane to have to say that because, I think I'm a citizen of the world. So I should have worldwide. No one else
do
thinks
other
that
things
I
big,
do.
but
Yeah, why not? There's a lot of delusions that run through, but
no, truth.
but I was playing small because I was networking in Pittsburgh. I was attending Pittsburgh events. I was doing this. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm not limited by geography because a lot of coaching does happen online these days very easily and very effectively. But I was limiting myself to networking in my home area, and that's not good. So I switched up the entire outreach, brought in an appointment setter, brought in a marketing firm, doing the podcast, putting out more on my blog, just doing all the different avenues. And I could have done that a year ago, right? I mean, that's something that could have been done, but you can't beat yourself up over it. I figured it out, and now was the right time to do it. So that's what I would have done differently, was not be geographically and mentally limited by my location.
Oh, that is I feel like that's more so where I'm at. Is I have a service that has gotten a lot of I don't want to say notoriety, but everybody's more environmentally conscious now because of just the global pandemic we all survived. So on a human level, we all want to be in a safer, cleaner environment. But on a business level, we all want to make sure we're providing a clean and safe workspace and making sure that we're taking into account our environmental footprint with different things. And it was funny because I wanted to do a YouTube channel maybe back in 2018. I was talking about it. I was like, yeah, I want to have that space online. And like you said, thinking small really kind of boxes you in geographically. I would even say like spiritually, like when you really go, okay, I'm just going to stay here. I don't want too much attention, but why do we as small businesses, get pigeonholed into that space of thought or approach or execution of our services when, like you said, your service can virtually be done online through Zoom or webinars or, over social media. My services are, they're more boots on the ground, but the knowledge and the curiosity and even the interest, I would say, has not peaked, but is increasing over the years. Everybody, wants to know more about, their environmental footprint or, how they can best, protect themselves or clean their spaces or, rid themselves of toxins. So in the respect of thinking too small for your business, what are some valuable tips you can give entrepreneurs listening of how to kind of break out of that mind state of thinking small?
Yeah, I think taking the time and putting down your goals and not having your goals be easily achievable. If they were easily achievable, you would just do them.
Yeah.
But there are short-term goals or to-do items, but really having a vision of where you want to go and how you want to do it brings a lot of clarity, and it makes you think bigger because you're like, yeah, this is not really what I want. I need more, or I can do more, or I can touch more people. And that'll keep you moving forward and keep expanding. You know, I think when you become comfortable or complacent is when it starts to get tiresome for business owners. You're stuck. There's nothing more to do there. So when you're able to articulate what you want, you can put that into reality through your actions.
Or with a coach.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of what good coaching is to help you, you know, realize what your potential is and then figure out the actions necessary to achieve what you want. That's a big part of what I do.
Amazing. And I would highly suggest getting a coach because especially if you're like a solopreneur or, you know, an entrepreneur with employees or wherever you're at, where the buck stops with you, when you have that kind of pivotal moment, like I did that pivot. Whenever you have that pivotal moment where you could go A or you can go B, it's good to have just an outside source be able to kind of weigh that with you. And that's what the Goldman Sachs 10K program did for us. That's what, you know, Libby can do for you as a coach. But I wanted to bring up this infographic that we have. It's basically talking about the 6 kind of largest reasons why small businesses fail. And Libby, I would love for you to speak to this because I feel like we're right in that conversation line where it's either one of these things or it's all of these things. Or how would you kind of explain or expound upon this infographic?
Yeah, you know, there's no problem with failure. You know, you don't learn unless you do fail. But there's an incredible number, only 18% of small businesses survive. Well, actually about 18% fail in their first year. So you're losing about a fifth of small businesses in their first year. And about half are gone by 5 years. But you have to try. And some of the things to keep in mind, maybe to flip this graphic a bit, is really what do you need to have in place to have a successful small business? So you have to make sure you know exactly who you're serving and what you're providing differently, and that you have the finances and the infrastructure in place. Because if we look at some of these reasons, without having a clear vision of what you want to provide and how you're going to do it, and then the means to do it, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly.
And that's where we keep saying, get clear, you know, keep reassessing your business and figuring out where you are, and then change it up a bit if you need to. There's no negative connotation to switching it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's called evolution of a business. And that's where the successful ones see something very different to do and then take the leap and just trust themselves that this is the right thing and then go for it. But if you don't know what you're providing, or if you don't know who you're selling to, that's like the number one.
Yeah.
You have to be clear on that one. And then, of course, not knowing how to do it, not knowing how you're going to execute. Because if I wrote a blog the other week, last week, as a matter of fact, I wrote about this restaurant chain here in Pittsburgh that had this promotion, and they completely dropped the ball. You know, it's a sandwich place. They ran out of bread before noon.
Oh, you need that.
Right. That was crazy. Right. And my family made the mistake. We went in and sat down at the restaurant, figuring it was like a Tuesday. It would be quiet. You know, we waited 2 hours for food.
2 hours for sandwich?
2 hours, because they were putting the in-restaurant diners in the same queue as the online orders.
Oh, no.
So, wow. I mean, they're small. I use that. It's kind of a funny post. It wasn't funny at the time, but, but looking back at it, it's like, and this was a big chain. They're at stadiums and airports, and they have nationwide locations. It's not like a McDonald's huge, but it's big, a big local chain, let's call
Yeah.
it. So you would think they would know, but they didn't know. They didn't plan.
No. So
But
knowing and planning almost go hand in hand with small business.
yeah, understanding what you're trying to accomplish and making sure you have the right tools in place or the right inventory or the right personnel. Get your ducks in a row before you go out there and say you're going to do it, because if you don't do it, that sticks with you.
It does.
I mean,
Yeah.
because that's a big deal. If
It
you get a
is.
negative review or a negative feedback, that
Yeah.
person will gripe to everybody. I
Yeah.
mean, look at me, I wrote a blog.
And you just mentioned it on the podcast. That's going out to millions.
Exactly. And I have probably talked to a million people and told them about my bad sandwich experience.
But
So
yeah, it's just like that, because as a small business, you don't realize your impact on, your small transactions, your day-to-day transactions, especially in like the restaurant industry, where people come to your location. It's not like a mobile service or something online. People actually physically take the time out of their day to get to you, to
Mhm.
spend their money with you, to experience your ambiance. Like, I know for me, one of the biggest things when it comes to, just locations I visit, it's customer attention. I don't
Yeah.
want to say customer service, because sometimes I go in stores, I don't buy anything, or I'm just looking, oh, this is a new store, let me, look around. But it's customer attention. And I'll even tell you a story. We had a business event in DC, and I don't frequent DC, not, for any specific reason. It's just don't usually travel in DC a lot. But we had a business event, and it was me and my husband, and we, frequented a couple of different restaurants. And when I say the level of service or the customer attention that they placed on it, it was so drastic to anything I've experienced, just in a restaurant space. Like, you have good servers that are like attentive and stuff like that. But this was just a whole nother level. I mean, he, one of the servers, because it was at each restaurant, it was just amazing. I mean, one restaurant, he said, I know you guys just ordered your entrees. I'm going to wait until you're about 50% finished with your plates before I put in your order for dinner, so that when your dinner is ready, it's not sitting here getting cold. And I was like, he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to do that. But the fact that he's paying attention to not only how we're eating, we're talking, this wasn't a quick get a meal and, leave. We were just actually just enjoying ourselves, having conversations. And he wasn't, too, hovery or anything like that. He really was very attentive. And that made his customer service, just score even higher with us. So I feel like when it comes to just interactions with your customers, being mindful of all the different ways you can impact them goes a long way versus, oh, I'm just, giving them their meal. I'm just, putting napkins in their bag. It could be something as simple as, hey, did you need anything else? Did you try this? Or, there's so many different ways to do it, but just knowing how to do it best is always appreciated. And it even made me wonder, how am I interacting with our clients? And that was a restaurant versus, an environmental cleanup site. So it's very important, I think, to just know and plan for, different things that come up. And that's why I think this chart is very interesting, because a lot of small business always, say I could use funding. I could, I'm always looking for funding. But I feel like when you have different parts of this, if you're lacking in one space, you can definitely kind of prop up another space that will kind of invite capital, or that will invite rapid expansion. If you make sure you're meeting your customer needs and you're constantly being aware of those touch points. Hey, I see you like this product that we offer. We're offering a different service line. We wanted to roll it out and we wanted you to beta test it with us. Would you be interested? And that gets you more capital. That gets you, an opportunity for expansion, that creates flexibility. So having kind of just an idea of where you can make up for spaces where you might be lacking is important. So this is a really good infographic. So check it out. If you're on our YouTube, if you're just listening, head on over to Big Thoughts Small Biz, and you get to see it in real time. But let's move on to our next question, which is a good one. It's kind of juicy, but I think we're on, what is the biggest difference between then and now for your business?
So for my coaching, it really is putting myself out there and actively signing new clients. I thought I was going to do it as a niche player again, but what I realized is I enjoy this so much, and I've been able to help a group of people that I want to pass on information to more people, and I can take clients from anywhere. So I think that's really where the biggest difference is, from just being local to now looking nationally for clients.
I like that. And I feel like we're kind of embarking on this journey together, because I've always tried to keep my ear to the streets. There's e-commerce, platforms that are doing millions of dollars in sales of, products they're finding in wholesale spaces. There's, people offering, their expertise for, webinars, or for, different things where they don't physically have to leave their coast. So for me, I've been challenging myself over the last couple of years of how can a service-based company that is an environmental contender. We do, hazardous waste removal, a service that you wouldn't typically see online. How can I bring that to an online space? And so that's where we're pairing up here with offering a podcast, because I really miss the 10K experience, where there were so many business owners you were around every month, where you just, hey, Libby, I had a question about, one of your clients. You said you went through, this whole payroll thing, how did you overcome that? And just being comfortable enough to ask the questions. Because I feel like in a lot of cases, small business is very insular. Your family's not buying in, as much as they love you. Maybe they can't afford your services, or they don't really have, asbestos falling off their roof or anything like that. So, you might not even fit in their service space. So it can be very insular when you start a business. You don't really have a lot of people that are in your sphere that know what you're going through. So I found that I love talking about small business. I love talking about, issues. I mean, nobody likes talking about issues, but I love talking about, solution-based, problem solving as it comes to business, and being able to pick the brains of my more senior colleagues, and even my younger colleagues. Like, everybody's in a different place with their business. Even if you're earning around the same amount a year, the things that we go through can be so vastly different, but we can come together and really, kind of feed off of each other. So I challenged myself to say, okay, I need to put myself out there, because since 2012, I have not done any marketing. I haven't done any, real, hey, this is my business and this is why you should take part in it. So I'm challenging myself with this podcast to not only do something that I love, but to wrap it around, my business, and wrap it around, my interests. So like you said, you got to get back to more of what you love when it comes to your business, because burnout is a real thing. So I would say the biggest difference for me versus 10 years ago is, I think I'm ready to put myself out there now, because I still get cringy when it's time to post stuff, but sometimes you got to partner up and you got to get it done. And Libby has been amazing for that. So, we're achieving some goals. This is going to get bigger and more, interesting. But Libby, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the group, our listeners?
Yeah, I think you said it really well. I mean, we talked about this on our initial podcast, and you brought it up again today. Make sure you have your group of people who you can go to ask your questions, who you're safe with.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to grow. And, some people call them growth groups. You can join masterminds. You can, do it with the coach one-on-one. There's a million different ways to find companionship in a small business, so that you're not alone figuring out everything for yourself. But you have to be careful about who you do that with. And when you find a good group, or you find a good couple people, make sure you share as much as you take. right? Because everyone's there to learn from each other, and you can learn from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important lesson as you evolve your business and as you start facing new challenges, that everything's there to teach you a lesson. You just have to be able to see it.
Exactly. All right. So I think it is time to end our show. We did a full 30 minutes. Woo! Yay! I don't know what's getting cut out on the editing floor, but we made it to our first 30 minutes. So we're gonna celebrate with a little ice cream. I know I am.
I have ice cream too. I have ice cream.
We're gonna celebrate individually, but together. But yeah, we just want to extend the invitation. Anybody watching that want to come on to the show, definitely send us an email at bigsmallpod@gmail.com. Like I said, this is our beginning, so we're starting small. So we'd like to have other small businesses on when we talk about some more in-depth topics. If you're big into finance, if you're big into healthcare, we definitely want to make a space for small businesses to get on and share their expertise, and we can send you a write-up, a press docket to share, how it goes. But feel free to reach out with any questions that you might want to see on the show, any questions for Libby, any questions for me, and we would love to engage with you guys. So this is going to be a weekly podcast. We're going to be posting every Wednesday, and the last Wednesday of the month, we're going to go live. So we're getting ready for our live event on YouTube, and we'll be streaming it. So that's going to be exciting. We might go to 30 minutes, we might go a little longer, but we're just going to go with the flow. So we want to say thank you to Libby Kavoulakis for joining us again. And thank you guys for watching. And that's going to be the end of our podcast. And like I said, be sure to like, comment, and share. And thanks for watching. All right, guys. See you later, Libby. Bye.
Bye. Bye.